On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're talking about a Texas fan guide. Which teams should you be rooting for? Which games should you be watching in terms of all this college football playoff shakeout? If you're just as nervous as me, it's understandable. It's okay. We will be okay. Maybe not in the college football playoff scheme of things, Dylan, but we'll be okay. Now, Dylan, to begin, we got the fan guide. Of course, this is part of HornSports' Longhorns coverage. Check us out there. We got the fan guide. Dylan, is there any teams that Texas should be rooting for specifically? Or what's your dream scenario maybe for the Longhorns?
Yeah, Devon, in the background, insert the Charlie Day meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's pointing to everything. There's multiple
The
scenarios
conspiracy
and
theory board.
putting together. Yep, exactly. Because that's exactly what it feels like when we're breaking this down. I've got like 6 bullet points here with a rooting guide. Obviously, the first thing, and I know this sounds weird, but just root for Georgia to win out. Just root for them to go 13-0, beat Alabama. I know we hear all these rumblings of the college football playoff wanting to put Alabama above Texas, just like they want to put Oregon above Washington, but they can't do it. There's the head-to-head. They know people will freak out, so at least we've got that going for us,
So you're
right?
saying if
But
Georgia
again,
wins, then we don't have to worry about that.
exact Alabama's done. If Alabama loses to Auburn or they lose to Georgia in the championship game, it's done. The problem is if it's a 12-1 SEC team named Georgia that doesn't have an SEC title attached to their name, and you have an Alabama team who's also 12-1 with the title to their
Yeah.
name, you enter into a really
And
big
a
problem
win
because
over number
Georgia has
one
proven.
Georgia would not be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I agree. I mean, I'm all for craziness, Charlie Day, conspiracy board, but yeah, I do think if Alabama wins, that will be interesting because, as you said, there's already rumblings about putting Alabama above Texas. And of course, right
Yep.
now, I think it's fair where they're at. But if they beat a Georgia team, it's a little more difficult to discuss that. But okay, so Georgia, that's the first prong. Who else do you got?
Yeah, next one is, and this is going to pain me to say this, but for Texas fans, I think rooting for Ohio State to beat Michigan in Ann Arbor kind of secures that only one Big Ten team would get in. Because if Michigan wins and Ohio State loses a close one on the road, just like last year, the committee's still going to hold in regard, especially with quality wins over Notre Dame and Penn State, if you want to call Penn State a quality team, right? Which they have been. They're just their offense at times doesn't look that hot, right? So
That sounds like the
in this case,
Big Ten in overall, but yes.
okay, we don't need to get into this.
Okay, Iowa.
Ohio State, I would say winning, going 13-0, I think is the best chance just to get Michigan out of the picture. Even though I won't be rooting for that. Breaking news: Michigan will hopefully win tomorrow, despite all the things that have been put on us from the outside. All right. And we'll go past that point though, because
Yeah,
I don't want
okay,
Devin
okay.
talking about this. Next bullet point: the age old question: who's better, Texas or Oregon? In this case, Oregon losing, don't got to worry about that anymore. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Devin, but if Oregon were to lose to Oregon State or Washington, they are securely out of this race.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing now, as Dylan's talking about rooting for Michigan, I'm not an Oregon fan per se, but Oregon's always fun to root for. So this is a weird position, Dylan, where we can't be rooting for Oregon. We got to put on our
You
Oregon
know they're gonna
State.
have good jerseys though. You know they're gonna be wearing good jerseys
Oh, they
today.
are going to be, but you got to be putting on like a Oregon State Beaver hat or something.
Hmm.
The Beavers are what ranked, I believe, 16th. Yeah,
They're a
16th.
quality team. They're a very
They're a
good 8-3
quality
team.
team. Now, do I trust them to beat an Oregon team that has a Heisman front runner in Bo Nix? Is he the front runner? That's debatable. You got Daniels at LSU, but he's at least top two. I don't really
Yeah.
trust that. But yet again, this is a conspiracy theory board of fan guides for a reason. We're here to break down every little nook and cranny. So Oregon most likely wins against Oregon State. And Dylan is saying if they do, they're going to face
Yeah.
Washington in the Pac 12 championship game. Dylan, who do we even root for there?
With Washington,
Against Washington. Oregon and Washington. That's a tough one.
in this case, you just want the Pac-12 out. You want Oregon losing, and you want Washington to either lose to Washington State or Arizona, because if Oregon loses, then
Yeah.
Arizona wins, they get in.
That
So
would
then you've
be
got
the
a
dream
Washington Arizona
scenario.
game.
Yes.
Exactly. And then if Arizona pulls
So
that
put
one
on your
out,
Arizona fan hats
yep.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're going
Big
outside
time.
the picture.
And it's not that crazy. They played them close too. They played Washington close during that stretch of games where Washington was struggling. And I hate to say this, but like Washington and Florida State are two very suspect teams at the moment with just how they look. I know obviously they just lost Jordan Travis at Florida State, so that's a big loss. But then on the other side, Michael Penix for Washington, his accuracy's been a little bit off. They had that big win though. They know how to win. In Corvallis, they went down there, beat Oregon State, which was a game that people were expecting that they might lose. So the fact that they won that means they're built different. But that defense is going to hurt them a lot in that college football playoff. So and I'm sure that's the thing. One of the things in the college football playoff is paying attention to in regards to that team.
Certainly, and they're positioned well right now. We've gone 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Georgia, Ohio State, number 2. Michigan, 3. Washington, 4. Now, Dylan, the next one is almost a result of some just unfortunate stuff, and we're hoping that their quarterback gets better. But number 5 is Florida State.
Yeah.
They slipped to number 5. You'd have to point a finger to that Jordan Travis injury yet again. We hope he's all right. But this opens the door for some teams, such as Washington, who snuck in. And now for Texas, still the dream is alive, Dylan. There's going to be a lot of things that have to happen for that dream to be achieved. But now Florida State, they play, Florida, I believe, this weekend. And then in their championship game, are squaring off against the number 10, the Louisville team. Yet again, with the backup quarterback, he picked up, I would say, last weekend, Dylan. He didn't start too hot, but shortly thereafter, they were playing a cupcake. Let's be honest, Florida State was, but they put on the afterburners and created some separation. So we'll have to see how the backup does. Of course, with the week full of reps, shouldn't look, as disconjointed. But
He's got the talent. He does have the talent, but man, this Florida team, this is a tough stretch to have to break into a new quarterback and gain some
Florida,
confidence. I think
yeah,
they're going into Gainesville, right?
I believe it's in Gainesville. Maybe I should double check while we're going. But either way, Dylan, that's just not a dream scenario. You want to check while we're going?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Dylan's on the top tier research. I believe it's in Gainesville. But then after Florida,
it is in Gainesville.
It's in Gainesville. The Swamp, that's the one game people should be showing up for.
Yeah.
As a Texas fan, if you have any relatives in Florida, send them to the game if they haven't already bought tickets. Wear that burnt orange with pride.
Yep.
And then, of course, after Florida State, we talked about Oregon already a little bit. So that's number 6. Texas is sitting at number 7. Now, Dylan, realistically, I don't know how good the odds are. Let's be honest, for Texas to creep into that top 4. But inevitably, if they're able to win out yet again a game against Texas Tech, they need to win that. They need to win the Big 12 championship for this to even, pan out the way they want it to. But if they do all of that, realistically, they are moving up at least a spot or two, and they end the year at either number 5 or number 6, most likely, of course. Not in the playoff. Of course, this fan guide is brought to you in terms of how does Texas get in the playoff. If they make it at 5 or 6, though, Dylan, hey, you're talking about Michigan. Maybe they got a Michigan Bowl game coming up. Maybe a Cotton Bowl appearance. They're going to get one of the premier games if they win out. And yet again, expectations coming into this year, Dylan and I picked them going 10-2 in the regular season. They went against Texas Tech. They've surpassed that. But we also talked in the preseason about Texas winning the Big 12 championship, so they'd be on par there. And we talked about maybe a potential of getting into that college football playoff picture, however crazy that sounded back then. Dylan, they're in the picture. I mean, they've met.
Only thing is they got. Yeah, no, understood. And I think when we're looking at those expectations for the college football playoff, if we look at those expectations, it really hurts that Oklahoma fell off. Like, it really hurts that Oklahoma's not undefeated right now, or only has one loss to, Oklahoma State or Kansas in this case. And then Texas was able to get revenge on that loss, and that would really help them here, especially in the committee's eyes, to maybe jump a team like Florida State or Washington, and they would be able to somewhat control their own destiny. But the fact that they're kind of staring down, let's say, Oklahoma State for the Big 12, if things kind of play out with certain wins, they don't necessarily have that win that they could kind of lean on, especially with Oklahoma State falling apart against UCF. So Texas doesn't necessarily control their own destiny here, Devon, but winning out, I mean, they're in a huge spot to just be in a great, like you said, great bowl game in a marquee matchup. Then you avoid any of the just got blown out by Georgia, which I know too well in the opening game. You got to deal with those question marks too.
Sounds like that comes from experience. I'm not
It's
sure.
painful. It's a painful
Not
time.
sure what
Yeah.
experience, but yes, experience. No, I mean, this has been an exciting season at the least. Yet again, if Texas continues their trajectory, we'll be getting an exciting bowl game. But there is still that chance of them sneaking in. It's going to take a couple of things to happen, but that's what makes watching college football at this time of the year so fun. Now, Dylan, we're going to make our playoffs, week 3
Oh
picks.
yeah.
High school football, there's a ton of games. I don't want to count how many games there are, but there's a ton. And we're just going to go lightning round through it. The first one, 6A, number 14, Willis. And this could be a close game. Number 14, Willis versus number 2, DeSoto. I got DeSoto here.
Yeah, you're saying it would be close, but again, you got to lean on the talent and the team that's been beating good teams, and that's been DeSoto. Next one, we have 6A, number 18, Prosper, Devon against number 6, North Crowley. North Crowley's looked really good this year. They've got some quality wins. I'm going with North Crowley.
I'm going North Crowley as well. Next game we have a 6A matchup. It's a DFW local game, Dylan. We got number 19, Coppell versus number 7, Byron Nelson. Byron Nelson with a big win over Carroll earlier in the year. I'm sticking with Byron Nelson here.
Yeah, you got to go with Byron Nelson here. They're playing very well. Next one, we have 6A, number 20, Tascasita against number 12, Houston Lamar. Devon, Tascasita, man. I'm going with them to pull off the upset.
Yeah, I was going down the list here, Dylan. Lamar's made it to 12, but Atascocita, they do have losses, but they are to solid teams. I think Atascocita bounces back at the right time this year. Now, next game, you have 5AD1 matchup. This is a good game. Number 5, Red Oak versus number 1, Aledo. Yet again, a wise man myself once told myself to never pick against Aledo. I've got Aledo.
It's tough to pick against number ones in this part of the playoffs. I'm going with Toledo as well. Next one we have 581 number 9 College Station against number 4 Smithson Valley. Devon, I have College Station.
Ooh, interesting. I got Smithson Valley. They have a Texas commit as well, so an added reason to watch that game. The next game, we've got 5AD1, number 10, Richland versus number 8, Forney. I got Forney.
Yeah, I have Forney as well. Next one we have 582 number 3 Port Neches Groves against number 1 Montgomery Lake Creek. And like I was talking about, it's tough to pick against this number 1 team. But again, it's gonna be a close one. But I do have Montgomery Lake Creek.
I got PNG just because they have that deep playoff experience. Can that pay off, though, against the number 1 team? We'll see. Next game we have, oh, this is a favorite of mine. We got 5AD2, number 4, South Oak Cliff. My apologies for picking against you last weekend versus number 2, Midlothian Heritage. I had to pick against them last weekend to keep my title picks alive, but that failed. So I'm going back to the Golden Bears SOC Nation. Dylan, who do you got?
Devin, you put me on something. I know I was a South Oak Cliff hater. It felt like last year. I picked them last week. They won. I'm riding that train.
It
I have
feels
South
good,
Oak Cliff
doesn't
as
it?
well.
Feels good.
It does. Oh
Feels
my God,
right.
it feels amazing. Next one is 5AD2, number 9, San Antonio Piper against number 6, Alamo Heights. Devin, I have San Antonio in this one.
You know, San Antonio, okay. The song by Creed, Higher. I want to reach new heights. I'm going to Alamo Heights. Next game we have 5AD2, another DFW area matchup. Number 8, Colleyville Heritage versus number 7, Argyle. Now, this is a tough one. Argyle is definitely a different team than what they've been in the past. Still very good. But they do have that deep playoff experience that I do value, so I'm going Argyle here.
Devin, I'm going with the new blood. I'm going with Colleyville Heritage. Next one, we have 4AD1, number 8, Frisco Panther Creek against number 2, Anna. Devin, it's been tough with Anna. I picked them as my sleeper. Then I picked against them with China Spring, and then they won. So you know what I have to do? I got to go with Anna.
I'm going Anna as well. This was one of the harder games to pick, though, this week. Next game we have 4AD1, number 10, Salina versus number 5, Stephenville. Stephenville's been up and down this year, Dylan, but I'm sticking with them.
Yeah, and it's tough to trust them even with those big wins that they've had. I have Salina in this one. Next one, we have 4AD2, number 3, Texarkana, Pleasant Grove against number 1, Carthage. Devin, if people have been watching for a while now, they know what this game means.
They know what it means to us.
They also know I'm going with Carthage, but I'm excited to see where you're going with this.
A wise man once told another wise man, myself, to never pick against Pleasant Grove. Well, that wise man learned many more wise lessons over the years, and that wise man is now picking Carthage. Lessons have been learned, Dylan. Lessons have been learned. Next game we have 4A D2, number 6 Belleville versus number 2 Silsbee. Silsbee, Grillsby. I'm sticking with the Silsbees.
I'm going the other side. I have Belleville in this one to pull off the upset. Next one we have 4A D2, number 9 Canyon West against number 7 Monohands, Devon.
Who'd you pick?
And I have Canyon West. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Dramatic effect.
We had a small mental breakdown there. I drove through the Monahans this past summer. Shout out West Texas. I'm picking Monahans.
It's a nice area. No, okay.
It had a nice hotel. That's the extent of what I saw in the night. But yep, 4A. Nope, we're down to 3A D1. I scratched that out. Number 7 Lorena. Ooh, a team that I've been high on. I believe they might have been a sleeper of mine. Versus number 1 Columbus. Dylan, this might shock you, but Columbus, I believe, has the number 1 ranked junior quarterback. Yeah. So I'm going Columbus here.
Yeah, and I've picked against them this season, Devin, but they've proven me wrong every time pretty much, and I will be going with them in this one. Let's go Columbus. Next one we got 3A D1, number 9 Paradise against number 5 Bushland. I have Bushland in this one, Devin.
I have Bushland as well. The next game we have 3A D2, number 10 Dylan. We're in harmony so far, but will we be in harmony against number 5 Newton? I'm going Newton.
That's a tough one. It feels like they're always 5th in the rankings, especially to start the season. They're still there. They're still winning. I got Newton in this one. Next one, we have 3A D2, number 9 Jacksboro against number 7 Holiday. Devin's a holiday season, but I think Jacksboro is going to play Grinch this year. I got Jacksboro.
Oh, you're so anti-festive over there. It's the holiday season.
Sorry,
I got holiday. Come on now. 1A D1. Yes, 1A D1. Number 3 Abbott versus number 1 Gordon. Oh, this is a banger matchup. But I do have Gordon here.
I think I picked Abbott this season, Devin. They've been my boys usually. I'm going with Abbott. Next one, we have 1A D1, number 9, Borden County. It's number 4, Westbrook. Feels like we haven't talked about Westbrook a lot. They haven't been popping up much just with who they've been playing. Borden County playing well. But, Devin, it's Westbrook, man. I'm going with them.
Yeah, these are probably my 2 favorite 1A teams, along with Rankin, of course, who's not in this game. But I do have Westbrook here. Next game we have 1A D1, we're not in Florida, but we got number 8 Miami versus number 7. You better be happy. It's the holiday season. Happy. I got Happy here.
Yeah, I was not happy last week picking against Happy. I'm turning over a new leaf.
Mistake.
We're picking Happy in this one. I know, I'm sorry. 1A D2, next matchup, number 3 Jayden against number 1 Benjamin. Devin, these boys from Benjamin, man, they know how to win. Going with them.
Benjamin's been rolling. And so I've got Benjamin this one. And then the last game, oh my goodness, that was a lot of games. 1A D2, number 6 Cherokee versus number 4 Richland Springs. I believe Richland Springs has a different coach than when they were rolling with those championships in the years past, not too long ago. But still a deep team with playoff experience. I have Richland Springs in this one.
This will be a close game. We have to go against you in this one. Cherokee, I like how they've been able to move the ball. Going with them on this one.
All right, and more importantly than that, which teams are you rooting against for the Longhorns, and which teams will you be watching Texas high school football-wise? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, have a great rest of your day.